What we're coming home to every day and entertaining ourselves with is slowly making us, as an entire society, dumber, weaker, and pathetic. We're under the impression that we're lucky to have the entertainment we have today. I mean, sure, it's incredibly convenient, it's entertaining, and it's really low effort to set up, but it comes with its fair share of downsides. In my last video, I mentioned that our attention spans have shrunk from almost 2 minutes 20 years ago to like 8 seconds for Gen Z today. The attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. But how? How did this happen? How did we go from a society that would go out of their way to spend time with each other undistracted to now being under almost constant stimulation? The first answer was unexpected, and it is choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz breaks down this very issue in his book, The Paradox of Choice, and here's a fascinating quote. Though modern Americans have more choice than any group of people has ever had, and thus presumably more freedom and autonomy, we don't seem to be benefiting from it psychologically. And he's right. Happiness and satisfaction 20 years ago is higher than it is today, even if life was more inconvenient. Autonomy and freedom of choice are critical to our well-being, and choice is critical to freedom and autonomy. Yes, autonomy and freedom are essential to us as human beings, and choice is a deciding factor in both of those. I'm sure slaves wouldn't have chosen their captivity. But why has there been such a decline in feeling happiness and freedom compared to 20 years ago? I mean, we have more choice as life is so much more convenient, but this doesn't cut it. And it's because there was absolutely something about the culture of the early 2000s that just made it better. And to prove it, let's observe day-to-day life 20 years ago, when our attention span wasn't shorter than a goldfish. Welcome to the early 2000s. Your favorite shows are scheduled at specific times, and if you wanted to watch the last season of Friends, you would have to change your schedule around it. And if you miss an episode, you'll have to wait until the rerun or ask your friends what happened. You can't just watch whatever you want, whenever you want, unless you drive over to a Blockbuster. So you get out the house, make the intentional trip over while Hey Ya's playing, while the wind blows through your hair. My baby don't mess around because she love me so. And this, we all know that song, right? You carefully listen to every track on every CD you bought. I mean, you spent your hard-earned money on it. Once you arrive at the Blockbuster, you carefully select which piece of entertainment you'll watch tonight. Not a bunch of movies you can sift through whenever you choose. One, maybe two movies. Let's pause here. You likely already spotted the difference. The lack of choice, the simplicity. Sure, Blockbuster had hundreds of titles to choose from, but since you had to spend money renting each title, you only chose a few. We think that if there are fewer options laid before us, that our freedom is limited, but the lack of choices wasn't a lack of freedom. It was freedom itself. The more options there are, the more we expect from the one we choose, and the more disappointed we are when it doesn't meet our expectations. Think about it. If there were 15 options for shirts at a clothing store, the chance of regretting your pick is higher than if there were only 5. And how many times do you skip through a song or just skip it entirely because it just doesn't hit and you know you can play a better one immediately? And the Netflix catalog feels so overwhelmingly massive that picking the perfect film feels almost impossible, and we usually end up regretting our pick. I find it super fascinating, by the way, that whatever was on TV was on for the entire nation or even like the entire region. So that was like kind of, you know, a bonding moment for the community. Well, I don't know. It was at least like a conversation starter, you know? But this next part is probably even more dangerous, but it's so much more subtle that nobody notices it. Netflix quickly overtook Blockbuster because you simply subscribed, selected DVDs, and they were delivered to your house. And when you were done with them, you simply popped them in the mail and they were sent back to Netflix. And they also didn't have late fees, which was a super annoying part about Blockbuster at the time. Now, this isn't that bad. In fact, it's a step up from Blockbuster in many ways, and I don't see any downside for this. But this all changed when Netflix became a streaming service in 2007. We'll come back to Netflix. 6 years later in 2013, a new platform came out, the very first fast-paced content app that set the chain for what we have today. Yes, Vine came out on the 24th of January 2013. Because Instagram was already available at the time, people didn't really see a point in Vine, but soon enough it caught on because of its unique 6-second video format that was just long enough to deliver a punchline, but, you know, short enough not to need commitment like a video like this. Thank you for watching. This was revolutionary. This has never been seen before. However, it is super similar to Netflix's decision to become a streaming service. Now, what do these two unique and revolutionary services have in common? The lack of choice. Yes, I know I just said we have an infinite number of choices available to us, and that in itself is bad. So how do we have a lack now? It's simple. You are no longer choosing what to be entertained by. Your entertainment is picked for you. Vine, or let's just use the modern day equivalent, TikTok, chooses what videos to show you. It chooses what videos most people are entertained by and pushes it out to you. Now, this is the same for Netflix. Sure, you can search for whatever movie you want, but your home screen is always going to show you the same 20 recommendations because these companies want to always keep you watching, and I think that's where our entire issue stems from. Over the years, content has been getting brighter, louder, faster, and way more accessible. And this is the issue. Content is not made to be genuine anymore. It's not made to get a good laugh from you. And from here on out, it probably never will be. Entertainment is now a competition of who can grab people's attention the most, even if people don't enjoy it. And most of us are falling for it. I mean, when's the last time you remember listening to a full song and nothing else? When have you hung out with someone with no phones in sight? How many times have you watched a full movie without pulling out your phone, or an episode of whatever slop is out now without doom scrolling? I also do all of these things, but I feel we can be better as people and we can limit ourselves, right? There will be a day we get to that point. I just hope it's sooner rather than later. Like, sub, you know the drill. See you next time.